Coming up next on All About Android, we discuss the cool new features in Android 11 Beta 1 and a few features that are probably going to be coming out sometime soon. Also, Samsung's BTS version of the Samsung Galaxy S20 Plus, ASUS ROG Phone 3, we've got details there. Stadia hits a milestone. Flo checks out Joplin for Android, and we premiere some pretty big changes to the show. All that and more coming up next on All About Android. All About Android is brought to you from Lastpass Studios. You're focused on security, but are your employees? Lastpass can ensure that they are by making access and authentication seamless, whether they're working in the office or remote. Visit lastpass.com/twit to learn more.
Podcasts you love.
From people you trust.
This is Twit.
This episode of All About Android is brought to you by LegalZoom. Don't let legal questions hold you back. LegalZoom is dedicated to helping you with the right solutions. Visit LegalZoom.com today to take care of the important things you need to get done. And by Lastpass. Prepare for the unexpected in your business with Lastpass, trusted by over 17 million users and 61,000 businesses worldwide. Visit LastPass.com/twit to find out how they can help you. Hello and welcome to All About Android, episode 477, recorded on Tuesday, June 16th, 2020. Your weekly source for the latest news, hardware, and apps for the Android faithful. I'm Jason Howell.
And I'm Ron Richards.
And I'm Florence Ion.
How are you all doing on this day? Just a normal day, like every other Tuesday, right? No big deal.
As if, no big deal at all. Except dun dun dun.
Dun dun dun.
Kind of a big deal.
we need to ask you to take a seat. It's time we had a little talk. Okay.
Let's talk about the show.
Yeah,
yes.
we need to have a talk about the show. Mm-hmm. We want to talk to you about a few things, and you may have felt like, you know, are my parents ever going to talk to me about this? Oh dear, it's happening right now. Yes, we're here to talk to you about the show. So you might notice down, if you're watching the video version of this show, you might notice down in the lower third, we have new artwork down there. Anthony Nielsen, we've been working with Anthony at Twit to redesign kind of the podcast art, the look and feel. We thought the Androidified characters were a little outdated, right? Like Google hasn't even been updating that app for I don't know how long. At this point, a couple of years, I think. So it seemed right, the right time to kind of make changes as far as that's concerned. We also had been talking a lot between the three of us about some kind of ideas we have for the show and kind of goals that we want to satisfy with the show going forward. We've been doing this show for many years now, and the format has stayed pretty much the same throughout that time. But we knew we wanted to kind of like get the length of the show down a little bit, make it a little more concise. We want to make it appealing to listeners because the majority of you are listening. You're not watching. So some of the things that we would do on the show might be difficult to follow along with if you're a listener. We just basically wanted to give the podcast a visual overhaul, which is part of the podcast art kind of redux that we've done. So we're making some changes, excuse me, to kind of the layout and the format of the show. But nothing like so major that you're not going to recognize things. Yes, we still have news, we still have hardware, we still have apps, and you are considered the Android faithful. So welcome. Please walk this line with us. Yes, we're still going to have guests on the show, though we have also decided like we really enjoy just doing the show, the three of us as well. Like it's like a different energy, different vibe when it's just the three of us too. So we're probably going to have less guests. We've had guests every single episode for so long with the occasional no guest episode. Now I'm kind of feeling like it's maybe going to be more like half and half, and I'm okay with that. What about you two?
Yeah, and I think that gives us an opportunity to make sure the guests we're bringing in are a good mix of our regulars, the folks that we really like, but then also to try to take a little more time to find newer voices and bring new perspectives. And you know, it's always great when we get people who work at Google or people who are developers or close to that. And when you're on the weekly grind of booking, as Jason can attest, who does the lion's share of that work, you're just looking to fill a spot. Right. So I think for us it'd be better to when we know there's going to be a guest, to make sure it's going to be a guest that's going to really raise the bar of the conversation.
Yeah. And I would say, I mean, I would definitely mention that any guest that I'm ever reaching out to on the show,
of course,
I'm usually doing that because I'm familiar with their work. I appreciate the work that they're doing, and I want to invite them on. I love all the guests that we have on. I think we've done a really great job with it. But the three of us, connect so well that sometimes it's just fun to do this. And we've just really realized how much we enjoy having these episodes where it's just the three of us. So we want a little bit more of that. And we are going to take a look at apps. ... But we're not going to be doing that in the arena anymore because last week's episode was the last arena that we're going to have in this show, which you can pour one out for the arena because literally it's been around since the beginning. First official arena was March 28th, 2011. And think about where we were in the smartphone world in 2011. Smartphones were relatively new, apps were a really big deal because they were very new. The fact that a developer could just create something that was missing from your phone and release it and everybody could hop on that train. Now it's a little different. I feel like the app landscape is a lot different. And we would hear from people, from time to time who would say, man, I love your show, but the arena, there would be complaints about the arena. How do you pick the apps? How are you still finding apps to feature there? Are you just choosing them? The show's a little long. I don't really listen to the arena. You hear that over and over again. Then we started to kind of look at it ourselves and just kind of realize, maybe it's time. Maybe it's time to just put the arena to bed.
And also, I think we can specifically look at the number of people voting in the arena as a bellwether. And of course, huge amounts of love to all of the faithful, the loyal arena voters and the folks in the chat room who watch the show live when we record. They're the ones who really help it, have helped it going along. But 5 years ago, we'd have hundreds of votes in the arena, and now it's much lower. And so it's clear that kind of the arena interaction isn't what it once was. But that says, to Jason, to your point, we still want to have apps in the show. Yeah. And we still want to help you discover the new apps, and we still want to, talk about different ways to highlight different apps that are being made. Trust me, when I see a wacky keyboard, I'm going to want to talk about it. So don't worry, we're still gonna get apps. For all of you, that are listening, it doesn't mean we're abandoning, kind of the fun pursuit of apps. We just want to think of different ways to do it. I mean, Flo, you had some great ideas about how we could spotlight apps. Do you want to share some of that, or?
Yeah, I mean, it's just basically what we do kind of in the arena, but just have it be one of us individually, bring it to the table, and here's a real spotlight on why we use this app, how it makes our lives better, rather than, again, trying to shoehorn an app into every episode every week. It was getting kind of hard, and we want to continue to be authentic on this show. It can be very difficult to be authentic when it becomes sort of a hamster wheel kind of situation. Yeah. And so in this case, Ron, Jason, and I, we are constantly chatting in our little group chat every week, every other day, pretty much. We check in with one another. And when there's something new and good, we'll always ping each other and go, hey, guys, we found I'm using this app. It's really helped, or this app is, not working so well. And just kind of bringing that discussion to those of you who are listening and viewing every single week.
Yeah, and actually, Cousin Ajah says in the chat room, he's asking if we do a themed app section from time to time, and that's actually something we talked about. When we were worried about YouTube Music, and we're like, all right, well let's look at music apps, and we did that, where we kind of did a selection of apps. You see that based on what's going on in the world and the zeitgeist, we might we've been doing a lot of home automation and smart home stuff. Maybe we just do focusing on smart home apps and that sort of thing. So I wouldn't be surprised if you see a themed app kind of blog, or all of us kind of say, oh, let's talk about this or that sort of thing. It's just taking the as you said it, Flo, the hamster wheel grind aspect out of it. Not that it wasn't fun. And I do want to share some numbers, though. So before we do want to celebrate. We want to celebrate what was left of the arena. But as Jason, as you mentioned, we've been doing the arena since March 28, 2011, which is just under 10 years of doing it, which is crazy. The total number of apps ever in the arena that were brought to you by the three of us, plus Eileen, plus Gina, plus all of our great guests, 1,721 apps were reviewed in the arena, which is just amazing. I wanted to figure out how many individual apps each of us brought, but I realized that Unfortunately, we don't have all that data. It would take much longer to go to figure out. But if you do a thumb in the air and you figure that we roughly do about 50 episodes a year, and with vacations or babies or things going on, we take some weeks off and that sort of thing. So my guess is probably each of us did, we missed 5 shows a year, maybe more, plus or minus. So loosely that gives you about 45 apps per year, 1 a week. And then you times that by 9 years. That means that at least Jason, you and I have done at least 400 apps in this span. Flo, what year did you start? How many years have you been on the show?
I started 2015 in September, though.
5 years.
So 5, yeah. So
5 years.
Flo, you brought 225, roughly about 225 apps. But it was
sanity.
It wouldn't be fun if we didn't get a little bit of competition going. And so I know that we have the results from last week's arena. I don't know if we want to do this one last time and share the results there. But we can see who won the last arena well, Jason, you always do this. So why don't you give us the results?
Oh, that's right. Okay. Well, let's see here. So the first place, I'm stalling because it's slow. There we go. First place, Skit Premium. That was yours, Flo, right? Mm-hmm. Of course it was, because it was the winning app, and you are on fire these last couple of years. 60%. Second place, Ron, your Fancade app/game toolbox, 29%, and then mine, App Volume Control, at 10.5%.
Yeah. So with that win, Flo, you get crowned the winner of 2020, as we are a shortened season, much like most professional sports.
And that's with maternity leave. So
bravo.
And I have the stats from Wade County.
Okay, let's hear it.
Just to button that up. Flo through week 23, Flo 66, Raygun, me 55, Ron 54, guests 45.
So close, Jason. You just eked it out by 1 point.
At least I held on a second.
But that said, I did a little more number crunching, and before we recorded the show, I calculated all the total wins by all of us through all 9 years. So I disregarded our point system from the recent years, and I just calculated the number of first place arena wins that we've had since day one. All right. So Eileen, who was our first co-host who left us, had 23 total wins in her tenure. Gina Trapani, who came in after Eileen, had 34 wins. Flo, you are third with 72 wins. So congratulations. Very respectable. You had 1 year. I feel like 2018 or 2017, you had 24 wins. It was crazy. You had a great streak.
Wow.
I had 99 wins in all 9 years, but our All About Android App Arena World all-time champion is Mr. Jason Howell with 111 wins.
111.
And I can't think of anything.
Thank you.
Roar. I can't think of anything more fitting than the fact that Jason gets the ultimate all-time crown, considering that he is the one driving this bus week after week and doing all the heavy lifting of the work. So, Jason, congratulations. Well deserved. Thank you for all you do for All About Android. So
absolutely.
Ron and I are just in the back, back of the bus, just
supporting you,
people.
Yeah. Look, it's a little bittersweet saying bye to the arena. I'm sure we're going to get some feedback from you guys, on the same line of thinking, but I think it's just kind of time. Yeah, I think it was appropriate. I do want to make sure that we give thanks to the people who have really helped us do this. Thanks to Wade County, who is always in the chat room doing the week-to-week tabulations that we don't have to. Thank you for saving us from math. Thanks to Robert M., who created the Google Sheets doc that we have used for at least the last 3 to 4 years. We give it to our guests, and it's a way where they can go in there and plug in their app and see if it's been used in an arena. He noticed that we had a pain point there and created a doc for us in Sheets that we've relied on. So thank you for that, Robert M. And then thanks to Mike B., Joel J., Tony M., and I hate to say I'm probably missing someone, but anyone who has helped us maintain the apps in the App Wiki. Thank you so much, because you literally were doing that for $0, doing it purely because you were fans of the show and you wanted to contribute, and that was just amazing that you did that. So thank you.
So much thanks. You guys are the best. That's totally why. And before we move on, I confirm that Google removed the Androidify app back in February of 2020. So
we missed that memo.
So we outlived the Androidify app. So there it is.
Okay. All right. I know that they stopped like leaning into the Androidify characters in their marketing a couple of years ago, but they officially, that's right, they officially killed the app earlier this year. So it's kind of fitting to move on from that podcast art to something new, which is what we have. So there we go. That's the big news. Hopefully this
was fun.
It's been fun. It will continue to be fun. Like I said, our ultimate goal is to kind of like tighten things up a little bit and make things concise. So to that end, why don't we waste no more time and get into the news?
It's a new turn of change at Android News headquarters.
Whoa.
No. Sorry.
I
Had I known you were going to do that.
I don't even know what that was. I don't even know if that was an accident or intentional. Literally, I was on a meeting earlier today, and one of the microphones. Okay, that is scary. Let's
that sounds
just
like
not
Burke
go there anymore.
Yeah. That sounds like a Burke invention.
Thank you, Burke.
I feel like as we embark on a new era in All About Android, we can sync up on the plan for the news bumper sooner, because when we don't know what Burke's going to do, that happens. So there we go. It's a mystery. All right, let's get into it.
All right, Ron, do it.
Enough about our stuff. So Android 11 Beta 1 rolled out. Despite not having an event, Google canceled their event in light of the events going on around the world. They did roll out the Android 11 Beta 1, and there are some big features that came out in this first beta. So first up, there's a dedicated media player space in the quick settings that moves out of notifications. It gives you full control over media playback, thumbs up and down. Also a new audio output selector for switching between speakers and Bluetooth devices. And let me tell you, I am so thankful for that, because it's been driving me crazy that you need to switch between those devices on the volume rocker. That drives me nuts. So I'm glad to see that changed. It also has suggested apps, which replaces dock icons with smart app slots. And suggested apps get a colored circle around the icon. I don't know how I feel about that, because I do love my dock icons, but I'm sure we'll get used to it. And then finally, a new power screen menu with smart home controls. This we knew was coming. We talked about this already. But smart home, if you have the smart home devices in your home, this feature becomes unlocked, and you can get more control over it within the core of the OS in that menu, in that power screen menu. So I have not got Android 11 Beta 1 because I'm on a OnePlus, but Jason, I believe you got it, right?
Yeah, both me and Flo actually have it. I'm showing it on my camera at this moment for whatever it's worth. So I'll show you real quick. I've got the media controls, which, because I had two media, I didn't know that it did this, because I have two media apps open right now. This is the Dolby On app, which I use for recording song ideas.
That's cool.
And this is YouTube Music. So I can swipe between the two. So that's kind of neat. I didn't know that you could actually do that. If you have the smaller quick settings pane, it kind of collapses down to this smaller version. The smart icons, I can show it if I do this. I'll drag my camera out of there, and now that's replaced, you can kind of see it in the corner, with a YouTube Music icon dynamically, and there's like a highlight around the icon, and the idea being that that'll switch out as I use my phone for apps that Google thinks I'm going to want to use. I don't normally like those kind of features, but I don't know how you guys feel about smart app icon things.
That's the one thing I'm not excited about. I'm not excited about the smart app icons. I like having, like, I purposely pick the ones that are in my dock icons and all that stuff. And so, because I assume that those are the ones I use the most, but I will be curious to see if they get replaced by one, if the smart app suggests that maybe I'm using another app more often. Maybe I don't know myself as well as I think I do.
I have been using them exclusively on the home screen, and it took me a second to get used to them, but they're actually pretty good about knowing what I'm going for. The only annoyance is that if you want, well, I shouldn't say this is an annoyance. So actually you can pin apps to that app suggestions dock by long pressing on the app. And I need to do that with the dialer app, because I noticed the dialer app goes away if I don't have it pinned in there. And there have been a couple of times when, like, I've needed the phone, so I've had to go look for the phone app, which is completely against the whole point of what this device is, which is you're supposed to call people with it. Just a little tidbit, long press to pin. There's actually a lot of pinning abilities hidden in Android 11, which I appreciate, because all of this, theorizing, we're going to suggest it for you. It's good. I understand how that's supposed to sort of evolve us in terms of the user interface, but also I would still like my phone app to just be always where I want it, which is on the very first page, in the very left side of the dock. So.
Yeah, and you can mix and match. So any of those 5 spots, you can decide this is dynamic, this one's not. So you could pin the phone app. The 5 apps I keep down in my dock are the 5 apps that I expect to be there at a moment's notice all the time anyways. It seems weird that they would take the area of my phone that I use the most and replace it with something that I don't know what I'm going to get there. Maybe Google's algorithm will be just so great that it does it well.
I disagree respectfully. I only say this because I was completely against the idea when I first got the beta last week. Since I've been using it for the last week, I have noticed it's always spot on. It knows which browser I want to use when I want to use it. It knows what app I'm going to use during the time of day. So it knows that I do a lot of Instagramming in the morning. So I always have Instagram in there in the morning. And then the afternoon.
So it's changing it by type of day? That's crazy. That's interesting.
It changes by time of day and usage, overall usage. So if you're doing, let's say I'm extracting some audio and I'm making a little video in InShot to share on social media. InShot and the apps that I've been using in tandem to do all that will appear in that app suggestion dock so that I constantly have easy access to them versus having to go back in the home screen or back in the drawer or even having to go through the recent apps page. So, again, the only thing that needs to be pinned is the phone dialer. But I guess if you're not using that dialer, then you don't have to worry about it.
Can we take a digression and can we share what is in our bottom row? Because I find that fascinating. Because my phone dialer is in the lower left corner as well, Flo.
I don't have it pinned right now, but I can show you what my app suggestions dock looks like.
Okay. Well, I was going to say, if you could pin apps, what apps would you pin there?
Oh, usually I pin dialer, whatever browser I'm using, Google Maps, the camera, and messages.
So for me, I've got from left to right the phone dialer, a group of messaging apps, Messages, Slack, and WhatsApp. Then the middle is always the camera. And then Instagram, and then Chrome beta. And Instagram recently moved in there. It used to be Talon for Twitter, but I barely am on Twitter. I'm on Instagram way more often. So I recently moved Instagram down there and swapped out Twitter. So that's how it's been for years. Jason, your phone is in the center?
Yeah, so yes, I always have this is just the layout on every phone that I do. I end up putting the calendar on the left, messages, phone is always centered, Chrome, and then camera on the right.
Calendar, fascinating.
So my app suggestions at present, if you'd like to know what Android 11 beta thinks of me and how I'm using my phone just today alone, the first one is YouTube TV, which is completely accurate because I've been in and out of the latest episode of Below Deck all day today. The second app is Brave, which, yes, I need to change, but there's some movement going on right now. It's my default on present. The Casa app, KASA, that's the TP-Link app.
Smart home.
For the TP-Link devices, and I was just adjusting the light bulb behind me. Instagram, which I've been popping in and out of all day, and the Google Home app. So that's what it's prioritized for me in this particular moment.
Very smart home focused.
Well, that's what I usually use my phone for, which is the little remote for everything around the house. Yep.
Well, and I'm sure you enjoy it as much as I do, the power setting features with the smart stuff. You don't?
I don't know. I tried.
I love it.
I will say I used it at the gas station the other day because I'm trying to not touch anything, and I already have to touch the darn hose to put it into the car. And so I have tap to pay at the gas station. So it was nice to be able to use Google Pay that way. But my brain isn't there yet. My brain has not learned to long press the power button and get that going. I'm still kind of stuck in this old way of being. And the fact that you just brought that up, while I was adjusting this light behind me, I forgot about that power menu. And I went and I searched for the Casa app instead of going into the power menu and
it takes a
muscle memory.
It takes a while to adjust and to train yourself of the new features and that sort of thing. You'll get there.
Yeah, I'm definitely turning to it a lot.
I do want to share a little tidbit about that particular power menu, Redux, which is I had heard that Google had sort of positioned it as the response to that saying keys, wallet, phone. So before you leave the house, you always make sure you have your keys, you have your wallet, and you have your phone. It's something that we practice in our house too. My husband says it all the time to himself. That power menu is the idea of that. You have the keys to everything on your phone is right there. So you have the emergency button, the power button, those things that you need. The wallet is right there. You just tap it in and you pay for what you need to. And the phone part is the remote that is doing all the smart home smarts in your home right now. Or I guess you could also see those as the keys. Maybe I might have messed that up. I think the smart home controls are the keys. And anyway, regardless, I like that idea and I like of thinking of it that way. But it's weird the way you customize it. Like every single panel takes you to a different screen when you go in to customize it. So the phone settings are customized in a different part of the interface. If you want to customize which card shows up from Google Pay, it's going to bring you to that app. So you can do that. And then the smart home controls, that's all done from within the power menu app. Again, it's a little weird and fragmented in that way. I will say the one thing that's pretty neat is for Nest users, at least, you can view the security camera footage from inside that screen. You don't even have to go to another app and load it, wait for it to come in. You can just tap on it there and it'll show you the live preview. And It will give you a button so that you can do the talking if you need to be like, hey, take your hand off those cookies, as you would.
Those cookies that I leave outside. Don't eat those. It's for somebody else.
Well, I hide cookies in the dining room. Got to make sure no one's getting to them.
Oh, I guess I was thinking outside, like security cameras outside versus inside. So that is neat. Definitely some good features in Android 11 coming, and you can check that out in the beta. Another feature we didn't really talk about is bubbles, which, more legitimization around bubbles. Dieter Bohn at The Verge actually wrote an article that maybe changed my mind a little bit as far as bubbles in Android 11. Before I was kind of like, well, why now? They've literally been around forever. His point, what he argues, is that messaging is so discombobulated, both in Android and in iOS. He kind of plays the point that it's messed up on both sides. But that what the conversations bundling does, and then bubbles, is that it ultimately brings all the messaging, and this is Google's goal, into one area, so it matters less the fact that all of your messaging is spread out into multiple different apps because they're all together. They're, at least in that point, they're all together and they can be found in the same place. And so I don't know. I guess that remains to be seen whether I'll actually use the bubbles aspect. But I like the conversations bundling. The more I've been using it, the more I kind of really like how that's happening.
I do want to quickly explain, because I just wrote about a bunch about this last week and it's just fresh in my mind. But the way I understand conversations is that it just breaks out those threads from the different messaging apps and it prioritizes them. And so notifications are getting this huge overhaul in Android 11. They're basically classified into 3 different tiers: priority, alerting, and silent. And messages, as far as I know, if you select a conversation to be a priority, it will always come in at the top. And not only will it always come in at the top of the notification shade, you're going to get a little icon in the status bar so that you know exactly who it is that is ringing you, rather than just having that, icon that says you have a new message in Android Message or you have a new message in WhatsApp. Instead, you have an icon so you know, oh, That's the thread
An
that
avatar.
I have with my mom. Oh, that's the thread.
Yeah, you actually have the avatar of that person, which is really cool. And it pops up there. You're like, oh, that's my wife. Okay, that's an important message. Jump in right now. Yeah, it's neat. I like that feature. And then we have a few different tidbits around Android 11, features that aren't in there yet, but Google has been releasing videos and stuff, and so we've got some clues and some information on stuff to expect in the coming months. A developer-focused video was published by Google that clearly shows the inclusion of Nearby, which we've talked about on the show before, in its share sheet. Nearby sharing, of course, is Google's replacement for Google Beam for beaming files between devices. It's like an AirDrop alike. It's been in the works for a year now. We've heard about it off and on, and this kind of seems to point to the possibility of this being an Android 11 feature when it launches, the fact that it's part of these, developer-focused videos that they're putting out right now. So if you want to share between devices wirelessly, that's what Nearby is all about, and hopefully that means you'll be able to do it soon with Android 11. And then, Flo, you got the last two.
I do have the last one. Now, this is something that I have not, none of us have been able to really, dive into this particular feature, but you might see some information cropping up about it. So Android 11 will include a new API called Block Store. Now, this API is going to allow developers to basically allow developers to bake in this easy sign-in so that you can basically sign in across devices without the hassle that normally involves. So it allows for users to easily sign back into an app when they switch to a new device, rather than, would you like to autofill? Are you sure you'd like to autofill? We don't remember your password, and then it gets, super frustrating. Basically what this does is it uses tokenization on the device and in the cloud to store those credentials. It's encrypted. It's tied to the Google account. It just makes it easy for you to log in while adding that extra added bit of security. It's very similar to the function in Apple's Keychain. I have never used Apple's Keychain services. I was personally fine with the way that Google was doing it, but I also probably, if you look at it a little more in depth, it's good to have this extra bit of encryption. I like that it's tokenized because that means you're getting a different login code, so to speak, every time. The same way that Google Pay works, for what it's worth. Android's also getting a trash bin. So those of us who have grown up on desktop computers, you've got to have your recycle bin and your trash bin to get rid of stuff. So this one uses the Media Store API and basically lets you trash a file instead of immediately deleting it. So it'll kind of keep it there until, it's trash day, so to speak, until the garbage truck comes around the neighborhood and picks it up. Now, this one is hidden by default, and this particular API is hidden by default, and apps with the permission can show what's in there to the user, but it sounds like you're going to have a specific app to kind of give you access to that trash bin. So it's not an unlocked dumpster. You can't go diving in it after Ulta is closed. Stop selling makeup you find in the dumpster, please.
That's what I was
people really
say.
do, by the way. So I just
and this whole thing reminded me of when Windows 95 came out, and after growing up on a PC where delete meant delete, when all of a sudden we had a recycling bin, which was like the trash can on Macs. And I remember having the conversation with my dad he's like, yeah, no, so you delete something, you put it here. I'm like, so it's not deleted? He's like, well, no, it's in the trash. I'm like, but it's not deleted. Like, when does it get deleted? So it's kind of funny that here 25 years later, it's still coming around. That's coming
around. Lean in on it. Let's see if this will work.
Yeah.
Did it? Yeah, there we go. Windows XP trash can sound. You probably couldn't even hear it.
Nice.
That was
I
all.
heard that.
I heard that.
Okay.
So
all right.
Cool. Well, that's Android 11 beta. Should be interesting. I don't think I can get it. I probably could get on my OnePlus, but I don't know if I want it. I like to wait and just get the official release.
I will say,
I would
stay away from it if when you get something with beta, you're signing a contract that you are open to third-party apps not performing as they should. I will say I'm having so many issues with Instagram, especially in relation to the Google keyboard. The video codec across different social media apps is having issues. So I'm noticing these little bugs, but it's mostly because third-party apps are not fully ready for this new version of Android. So
it's so early. It's beta 1. Right. So like really it's usually it like takes till beta 3 before you guys get, super comfortable with it and the other developers catch up and stuff like that. So if you are feeling adventurous and you're okay with having some things be buggy, try to get your hands on beta 1. If you're like me and you need everything to work, hold a beat. A couple of months and you'll get your time.
There you go.
So, all right, let's take a break and thank our first sponsor of the evening. We want to thank LegalZoom for sponsoring this episode of All About Android. And listen, it's a whole new world out there. Really, every day it's a whole new world. We're all faced with new challenges. If you need legal help to overcome some of yours, that's where LegalZoom fits in. Maybe you're wondering about the best way to protect your family, or maybe you're thinking about starting a business, but you don't know the best way to do it. Don't let legal questions hold you back. LegalZoom has been dedicated to helping you with the right solutions for more than 19 years. If you're looking to protect your family with a will or living trust, or you're thinking about the right way to start a business with a DBA, LLC, a nonprofit, or more, LegalZoom's got you covered. It's easy to get started online. If you need guidance, their network of attorneys can provide advice to ensure you make the right choices. And since LegalZoom isn't a law firm, you won't have to leave your home and you won't get charged by the hour. And let me tell you, after all these years of working and being, doing small businesses and being an entrepreneur and trying to do stuff like that, legal stuff always was the most daunting thing to deal with. I remember when I started my first company, I went to Barnes & Noble and bought a book on how to start a business and how to write a business plan and all this sort of stuff. And it just felt so overwhelming. And you felt like you were trapped because you couldn't do it because you didn't have a law degree or you didn't understand the ins and outs of it. And I was deathly afraid of making a mistake. If only I had LegalZoom back in 2000 when I formed my first LLC, I would have been able to know what I know now, which is that it can be easier and that you can get help thanks to the attorneys at LegalZoom. So LegalZoom helping lots of people start their businesses, help their families, protect your family, get everything out of the way so that you are protected from anything that you have legally that might come up in your life. So visit LegalZoom.com today and take care of some important things you need to get done. That's LegalZoom.com. LegalZoom, where life meets legal. And thanks, LegalZoom, for sponsoring All About Android. We appreciate it.
Thank you, LegalZoom. Before we jump into hardware, I wanted to make one quick mention about Android 11 if you're thinking about installing it. It does break Google Pay. So keep that in mind.
Wow.
If you want to do wireless payments, you're probably out of luck if you upgrade now. Google knows about it.
I was able to use it. I was able to use it at the gas station. People have had very, very iffy
results with it. Yeah, I got the notice that said that I couldn't use it anywhere or that I wasn't able to use it. But then I read that I could clear the cache and the storage associated with the app and then try again. And ever since then, I haven't gotten the message. But I also haven't used it, so I don't know for sure that it's working or not. I would say don't depend on it. Where are you going?
Don't leave the house. It's not safe.
Exactly. I'm not going anywhere, so it kind of doesn't matter. All right, Burke, it's time for some hardware. Let's do it.
I'm
Made sure
excited.
You got this one, Flo.
I'm excited for this, and I'm kind of bummed that I was not asked to debut this. I think we can agree that this week's top hardware news is the new BTS edition of the Galaxy S20 Plus and the Galaxy Buds Plus. Now, not only is this a devotion to the great Korean pop boy band group BTS, it's also just all sorts of purple colored, which is just a pure cosmetic refresh, completely new. Purple glass back on the camera, or excuse me, on the smartphone. Purple heart icon on the rear camera. I mean, custom BTS software mods, including icons, wallpapers, so you can get your favorite member on there.
Oh, yeah.
This launches June 19th for the Korean market and for the US through the Samsung US store and Weverse, which is a fan store for BTS. I have to say, as a former, I'm still a teeny bopper at my age. I always will be.
What? In heart, yeah, maybe.
Right. What? Well, it's a little creepy now because I'm like in my 30s, but whatever. That's neither here nor there. Man, if I had this kind of like product, we thought merchandising went far back in the late 90s. This is This is a whole new level, okay? This is where your real fandom lies. Can you get your parents to buy you a whole new phone, a whole new set of peripherals to go with your new phone so that you can just truly wear your fandom? This is not just a pack of bubblegum, folks. This is no Spice Girls bubblegum. This is no NSYNC Beanie Baby. This isn't even just like a Backstreet Boys pillow. This is a full-on phone, headphone situation. I'm going to try and track down those buds because that's about all I can afford on my own from this trio. And, you know, those buds look cool. Why not? Wish me luck.
Good luck. Let's see. The S20 Plus. I mean, that's a 12. This is a $1,200 commitment to your favorite artists. That's what it is.
What kind of parent? Like, I want to see the parent who, if you're a parent out there who's buying this for your child, write us at AAA@twit.tv. We want to know who you are. And
if you're a parent that's buying this for your child, like, you're probably a pretty good parent, or at least you care about the things that your kids care about. That's for dang sure.
I mean, look, did I have every poster that was sold at Spencer's? Yes, I did. But the Spencer's posters were $8. This is $100.
Yes, this is an investment. This is all the money they've been saving in their allowance.
The posters I could buy with my lunch money. You know, this I could not.
Right.
This is not.
Right. Yep. But hey, if you like the color purple, and I can see in your background, Flo, you got purple splashed on the wall, so we totally.
Purple's my favorite color, in case you couldn't tell. Also by the lipstick, and it's my favorite color. I definitely want to get those buds, and if I get them, I'll let you guys know. And you know what? I'll try them out on screen. Why not?
Perfect. That's all we ask. The third ASUS ROG phone is revealed, even more than before, thanks to published specs by Chinese regulatory agency. Is it TENAA or TENA? I'm not really quite sure. It has a similar design to the ROG Phone 2. I feel like we do this every single time these phones are on. Is it ROG or ROG?
Flo says it's ROG, I believe.
It's ROG. Republic of Gamers.
I don't see how you could put the letters RONG and not call it ROG. I mean, it sounds so metal, right? Like why would you not just put all your chips behind the ROG brand? I think that's it's snappy. It's one syllable. It definitely gets across a message of excitement and adventure, right? ROG. Yeah, it's like the sound effect in a Warcraft game, right? Like it's got so many things going for it. I don't see how you can't call it ROG.
All right. Well, I still don't know what I'm going to do, but I'll call it ROG for now.
Did you say you can't go ROG?
You can't go ROG. With the ROG Phone 2. 6.59-inch AMOLED display, FHD plus resolution. The refresh rate was not listed, but everybody seems to think that it's going to be 120 hertz, and why wouldn't it be? USB-C port is a shared charger, so this does mean wired headphone port is likely gone based on what they can see here, and that's potentially an issue if you don't want to have to use a dongle for your wired headphones. And wired headphones in gaming are pretty important because you introduce lag, which is maybe excusable when you're just listening to music. But when you're gaming, that can actually throw you off. So that's important. Let's see here. Extra rear camera over the ROG 2 phone, likely a telephoto. The main camera is upgraded to a 64 megapixel. It has an overclocked Snapdragon 865. Overclocked! 16 gigs of RAM. 128, 256, and 512 gig storage options. There is no expandable storage on this one compared to the second one, though. And similar to the second one, it has a 6,000 milliamp hour battery. It does come preloaded with Stadia, which we're going to talk about in apps, and supposedly launches next month. We don't have a price on this, but gaming phones for Android, and I would say particularly this lineup has a lot of kind of energy behind it for people who are really looking for gaming phones. These are the ones I would say that are right up near the top to beat. So
they are. They're legit. The Republic of Gamers is no lie.
No lie.
A sovereign nation, the Republic of Gamers. The UN has acknowledged their existence. No, I don't know.
They require an overclocked CPU. That's all they require.
Yeah, exactly. So, All right, so moving on, Flo, you talked about the BTS edition of the Galaxy S20, but there's another 3-letter phone name that you might have counted out. If you weren't expecting us to be talking about new HTC phones, well, today's your lucky day, because here we are. HTC is back from the grave, so to seems. And this time they've got a couple of phones that seem to be aimed at towards Taiwan, at least at launch. But here's the phones. Here's the breakdown. The Htc U20 5G, which is a 6.8-inch IPS LCD 1080p display, running a Snapdragon 765G with 8 gig of RAM, 250 gig of storage, and running on 5G networks. It's got a rear quad cameras with a 48 megapixel main, an ultra wide, a macro, and a depth of field lens. It's got the rear fingerprint sensor and a 5,000 milliamp battery. That's pretty good. Nice little mid-range phone there. And then the HTC Desire 20 Pro, which is a little smaller at 6.5 inches IPS LCD 1080p display, a little slower with the, or not slower, but a little dialed back with the Snapdragon 665, 6 gig of RAM, 128 gig of storage. Same rear quad camera as the U20 5G. It's also got the rear fingerprint sensor. It's got a headphone jack and a 5,000 milliamp battery. So there's no price or markets announced for these, although the marketing seems to be aimed towards China and that sort of thing, given all the video trailers that they released with Chinese characters. Pre-order starts on June 18th, and pre-orders include a free Bluetooth headset. So if you are looking for a free Bluetooth headset and you are in Taiwan and you are an HTC fanboy, today is your lucky day. So
I wonder what Bluetooth headset comes with it.
Yeah, very interesting.
The BTS Buds
edition,
Samsung.
BTS Buds. Yeah, I'm not quite sure that's coming with an HTC phone. HTC, they're back? No, I don't really know.
I mean,
like,
they are. They exist.
I mean, they exist. Kind of. They're still here.
Yeah,
that should be their slogan. HTC, we're still here. Yeah, not a whole lot of excitement around HTC devices these days, but I think people are still kind of like waiting for HTC to like maybe make a return to some sort of a premium smartphone or something like that, but we're just not really seeing a whole lot there, which is a shame. Man, at one point, HTC, they were like the definitive for me. They were like, oh my goodness, HTC is the jam compared to like Apple or whatever, but that was a long time ago.
Yep. It was a long time ago.
that was in the era of the arena. It was a
long time ago.
Yeah.
That was so long ago we were doing the arena. I've got a Thunderbolt if you ever want to give that a spin. No, you probably don't want to do that.
I remember your Thunderbolt. I remember that one. Yeah. You were the first person. No, I had an HTC. I had an HTC before I knew what HTC was, because I had one of those Windows phones, the chunky Windows before Android. But Jason, you were the first one I knew who was a real loyal HTC user. Like, I remember you were into HTC early on in the early days.
Yeah, I mean, their design. Like, I remember the Incredible. I was really interested. I never had the Incredible, but I wanted to.
I did. Yeah, it was incredible. I mean, that phone is the reason I love Android. It's like a first boyfriend. Well, no, actually, it's not a good. Never mind. I don't like that metaphor.
It's okay. Nobody
likes their first boyfriend. No. You know, it's just anyway.
All right. Chew on that one while we take a break, and then we'll jump into some apps. This episode of All About Android is brought to you by Lastpass. It's always important to have a plan for the unexpected. Lastpass can be deployed quickly in the midst of any event to ensure that your business keeps running smoothly and that every employee login is secure. Single sign-on manages employee access in a centralized view, so IT always has insight into who has access to what, from where. Enterprise password management ensures oversight of shadow IT and enforceable policies across all password-protected accounts. And multi-factor authentication, as you already know, requires additional factors to prove a user's identity, while the use of biometric and contextual factors make the process smooth for employees, because you got to kind of keep it accessible and relatively easy to use so that people don't, opt into the security at all. Businesses should be thinking about additional layers of defense beyond the password. LastPass helps facilitate that. LastPass does not send or store the master password. If LastPass can't access your data, well, then guess what? Hackers can't either. Encryption happens exclusively at the device level before syncing to LastPass, so you get safer storage that way. Only users can decrypt their data. They use 256-bit AES encryption. That's the same encryption type that banks and military are using. LastPass protects while providing a seamless workflow for your employees. So account access and passwords can actually be shared securely between employees, whether they happen to be in the office or remote, like most of us are right now, or many of us anyways. Employees will get secure access to their work applications with SSO and password management, and there's an offline mode for both password management and multi-factor authentication, so employees can always access what they need. When I get a new phone, when I get a new Android phone and I have to set everything up, one of the first apps that I set up is LastPass, and that's just because I rely on it. I use it every single day. It makes my life easier, and I know it makes me more secure, so you should check it out for yourself. LastPass can help make remote work simple and secure. Visit lastpass.com/twit, and you can find out how they can help your business stay productive and secure no matter what. That's lastpass.com/twit, and we thank LastPass for their support of this show. All right, we told you we weren't getting rid of apps. That's why we have them right now. Some app news. So I'm happy to tell you both something. So last week I showed off the Kishi, the little Razer Kishi controller.
Mm-hmm. Oh yeah.
One of the things, so my review for this, by the way, went up on Hands on Tech, twit.tv/HOT, and you can find my full review that went live yesterday. The notes on it, the shortened notes on it, is that I think it's a really great controller. You should definitely check it out, but check out the full review. But in using the Kishi, I found myself using Stadia more, even though that's not a Stadia controller, so it's not doing the Wi-Fi connectivity thing that true Stadia controllers are. But it allows me to play some of these games on my phone with like a console-like controller scheme that's kind of integrated with a phone. And I'm happy that I've done that, because it's allowed me to really give Stadia another shot now a few months later to kind of see what I think of it. And I'm actually pretty solid on it right now. Like, I'm pretty impressed how well it's been running for me. So if you've been holding out on Stadia, you've had your reservations because of early reviews, mine possibly included, I would say that I've been really happy with it, and you should definitely give it another shot, or at least test it out. But Stadia hit 1 million downloads on Google Play. So, sometimes it's nice to know that they hit that milestone, and 1 million is no small number. Maybe in the realm of Google things it is, but that's good to know for Stadia. They also added a bunch of new features to the app experience. So if you have the Stadia app on your phone, they actually have included mobile touch controls, like a visual controller overlay on the screen, which you get in a lot of mobile games, which I can only imagine how nightmarish that might be for some games that you end up playing on Stadia, to have all the controls on the screen. I don't know how that's fun, but it definitely makes it a more mobile experience. And maybe there are certain games that work better like that than others. So good that they have that control there. They also added support for OnePlus 5 through 7T. That brings the total number of devices that support Stadia up to 38. And this is really important. They opened up the ability to access an experimental section in the app that allows anyone with any number of Android devices that aren't supported to go in there and activate it and see what happens. And so you can go in with your device, turn it on, test it out on your device, and hopefully, you have some good news at the end of that experiment, and you can actually play Stadia. So that's pretty neat. That process also actually allows you to bring Stadia onto Android TV. It's a little hacky. You have to sideload the APK, and then you have to use a mouse to navigate the kind of like setup process, from what I understand. But once you're playing a game, it's the full deal. And, if you've got a Bluetooth controller connected to it, you've basically got a really high quality game streaming on your TV, and you don't need the Chromecast Ultra to do it. So that's pretty neat. And then finally, Google has reduced the cost of the Premier Edition kit to $99. They're not including anymore the 3 months of Stadia Pro subscription, but they've cut that down to $99. So you get the official Stadia controller and you get the Chromecast Ultra so that you can stream to your TV. So yeah, just like a collection of Stadia news there. Have either of you been interested enough in Stadia to kind of give it a spin?
It's funny because I got an offer as with YouTube Premium on a deal, to get 3 months free or whatever it was. I'd still need to buy the controller, and I was really mulling it over because I'm like, okay, we're talking about it, and let me walk the walk, stuff like that. And I was talking to a buddy of mine who's a much bigger gamer than I, and I think the conversation lasted about 2 minutes. So he's like, "Who are you kidding? What time? When are you gonna have time to do that?"
Right.
And I was
it
like,
is a time thing, yes. Absolutely.
Fair point. Maybe if Stadia is still around in a couple of years when I have a little more free time or a little more ability to do stuff. But right now, at this point in my life, it doesn't really fit in. But I was curious about it for about 2 hours or so. Primarily not at full price because they sent that free offer, right? That's the thing that was like, oh well, let me think about it, right? But yeah, so that's where I'm at. Flo, have you thought about it, or do you even have it?
Yeah, I don't have Stadia, but I'm a huge fan of the Nintendo Switch. So huge that I have 2 of them, which is ridiculous, but that's neither here nor there. And I have to say, Jason, after you brought the Kishi to the show last week, it kind of perked up my ears because I have all these powerful phones that I review and that I play with. And what would it be like to actually put them to use in the way that these companies hope that we do? And I think that up until now, the problem with Stadia has been that it's not an apples to apples gaming experience to what we have with consoles. And I bundle the Switch in that as well, even though it is technically a portable console. But to have that controller that is universally understood, I feel like would make gaming so much easier. It's the idea of just having to invest in a whole new set-top box, and I have to do all this stuff. But I really don't want to do that. I would rather have a lower barrier of entry to be able to do that. Gaming for me is a way that I come down from the end of the day after Mona goes to sleep. After I put her in her little bed, I sit in the nursing chair and I play my Animal Crossing in the dark. It's awesome, and it's a great way for me to just reset before bed. And so who knows, maybe in the future the Stadia will be there for me. I will say one thing I'm very excited about: Elder Scrolls Online is coming to Stadia. So that is something that has got me perked up because I'm a huge fan of the series. So I don't know, I don't have time to sit in front of the computer and play games, but I do have time to ignore my daughter while I'm feeding her and playing games. So who knows? Maybe.
Wow.
How we'll get it to work.
Wow.
I will say a couple times in the last week we've laughed about it, but it's also kind of terrible. There have been times where my husband has come downstairs and notices I'm ignoring her because I'm doing something on my phone or on the Switch, and she'll just have milk all over her face because I didn't realize she's not eating anymore. No. So #mom life.
No.
Modern mom life. Modern mom.
Not good. Wow.
You're not alone, Flo, I'm sure.
All right. Before we move on to the next story, I want to go off script for a second. So related to the fact that I got that Stadia offer through my YouTube Premium membership, I have a knot in my how much money I'm giving to Google that I can't untie, and it's all tied to YouTube Music. Because as soon as I transfer my YouTube Music, they sent me an alert, which is very nice of them to let me know. And they said they sent me this email that said, you review your subscriptions to complete your transfer. We didn't complete your migration of billing information because we have identified that you have more than one subscription to the same service. And turns out somehow I've signed up for a family membership for Google Play Music, right? That I'm currently paying $14.99 a month. But then I also have YouTube Premium, which I'm paying $17.99 a month, which gives me, no ads on YouTube. Right.
But you get that with Google Play. Don't you get that already with Google Play? Or
I don't know. Somehow I end up I'm paying more money than I need to pay Google. But here's my concern: if I cancel one of them, right? If I cancel the Google Play Music membership, will I lose access to my library in Google Play Music, which I'm still using and have all my devices linked to? Or if I cancel the YouTube Premium membership, will I start seeing ads on YouTube? Will it screw up my YouTube TV setup? Like, so I don't know
why you're paying for both of them, because the Google Play Music subscription is supposed to include YouTube Premium, right? Because that one subscription is supposed to also remove ads from YouTube. I would think that you could get rid of the YouTube Premium one and you wouldn't see any disruption. You shouldn't, because that's still the case that the Google Play Music subscription also removes ads from YouTube.
I'll tell you what. But then what happens with the Google Play Music subscription? Does it become a YouTube Music subscription?
What, when the transition happens?
Yeah,
I think so. Yeah, I think so.
All right, maybe I'll try that. I just got to tell you, I can't go back to seeing ads on YouTube. I just can't.
Yeah, like I know, it's really hard.
They're awful.
I was not logged in, and I was like, what's going on here? Yeah, so it's worth that much money, but I was just afraid. I was so afraid of anything changing in my ecosystem that I just let it be, which is embarrassing. But here we are.
Yep.
Cool.
Yep.
On to our next story. So it's been a while since we heard from Google's Area 120, the experimental division, but they have a new app called Tangi Quick Videos. And Tangi is kind of an abbreviation of teach and give. If you capitalize every other letter, or not every other letter, just if you capitalize some letters in teach and give, you get Tangi. And this is actually similar to Pinterest, with a focus on creativity and lifestyle content. And instead of photos, it's using short 1-minute videos primarily on the platform. And Google worked with some select creators for the launch of this. And other users who want to contribute will have to wait list in order to do it. And Jason, if those of you who are watching the video version of this, can see on Jason's phone, he has the Tangi app. And it's neat, but I feel like it's another one of these Google rolls out these apps that we never really see traction from. And I wonder if this is just like test bedding the functionality to get folded into a different app or something, or a larger ecosystem somewhere. But for now, if you're interested in Pinterest-like video content, check out Tangi, Tangi.
I mean, what's weird? I mean, the interface is very TikTok. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Maybe they all just look alike now, but it really reminds me of TikTok.
Yeah.
Interesting.
Yeah. So it's like a TikTok. Yeah. It's like a TikTok Pinterest clone, or hybrid. Pintalk. Oh,
it's like pin.
No, thank you.
It's not good. I don't like that either. Yeah, let's not do that one. All right. Flo, you wanted to show off an app. See, we told you there would be some apps on this show, or you wanted to talk about it rather. So go for it.
Talk about it. Because I'm not actually showing it off. And again, we're iterating on this kind of new way of covering apps here in All About Android. So if you have any suggestions after this, please do feel free to write us a line at AAA@twit.tv or tweet at us at Android Show on Twitter. We see those things. But an app I wanted to bring today, just to kind of bring a little app for thought, is Joplin. And yes, it sounds just like Janis Joplin. And it's spelled like that too. So Joplin is it's free, right? It's a free app. I forget sometimes because I install these things and I forget if there's a pay. There's a free app. I found it while working on a roundup for Android Police a while back. And part of the thing that sort of drew me to it was that I was looking for something cross-platform that was a little more mature than just the typical like text edit, drop everything. I'm a very messy note taker because of the nature of my job. I'm constantly taking notes, cutting pieces, piecing things together, saving links, saving images, that sort of thing. So I need an app that can accommodate that since I don't use folders. So I thought Joplin might be able to sort of fulfill that need. Now it's free, it's open source. It's kind of like the simplified version of Keep. It loads faster too. That's one thing I've been really frustrated with Keep, that there's this lag whenever I load it in the browser. It's not browser-based, so there's a mobile app, and I'm also using it and actually reading my notes off of the Windows 10 version right now. I don't have an image for you, but I can tell you that there is an interface. There's an interface color scheme called Dracula, and it's like dark violet and purple borders. So as you can tell, again, my favorite color is purple. It fits. One very cool thing about Joplin is that it encrypts your notes, and it actually encrypts your notes as it syncs it with the cloud service that you choose. So Joplin works with Dropbox, OneDrive, Nextcloud, or WebDAV, whichever of those you use. I use Dropbox for it. And you can encrypt it on both the desktop platform you're using it and on the mobile platform. So I have it encrypted from Android to Windows and from Windows to Android. It's a little bit tedious to set up at first because it requires a lot of copying and pasting. You have to create a username kind of thing. But the outcome is you have encrypted notes, which is nice. The desktop app is also compatible with Evernote.enex files. I think that's what they're called. It also lets you upload images, attachments, metadata, and all of that is synced across with the mobile version of Joplin. So it's just a nice way to kind of have, it's the notebook idea of Evernote, but open source. Couple things I like about it: has dark mode on both Android and Windows. It has markdown support, which is just like become second nature for me to sort of write my notes, you know, with the asterisk and the pound keys. It lets you convert existing notes into to-do lists if that's, you know, where your planning goes. Lets you tag things easily. Lets you create notebooks, which I really like that sort of way of organizing things. Mobile app also supports file attachments. So if you need to add images, APKs, that sort of thing, you can do that with Joplin. A couple other things to know. I did mention, again, there's a bit of setup required to do that end-to-end encryption, but once you get it, it's just works. And the nice thing I like about the syncing ability is that after it's done syncing, you'll see a little completed, like a little timestamp to let you know when the last time it was that it synced between platforms. Now, the mobile UI has some clunky elements that I think kind of clean up. For instance, it's not very clear when you're saving in the settings that you're saving them, because it's just this random floppy icon at the top of the screen. It took me a second after I didn't save my preferences to realize I needed to tap on that button, but whatever, slight learning curve. And also, good thing to know is this is being constantly updated. So the last time this was updated was earlier this month in June. So the developer is in support of this. Another little quick tip: if you do end up downloading this, it will by default add a geotag to your notes. So if you don't want that, if you don't want location accessed, although that might change with the Android 11 beta, because then you could just say no every time. But you can turn off that geolocation in the settings and just make sure to do that as soon as you install the app on both the desktop and mobile platforms. If you do end up really liking this app, you can support the dev, because again, even though we have done away with the App Arena, we're still telling you all to support your devs. You could support this dev through, they have a Patreon. You can sponsor them on GitHub, and they also have a donate button at their site. I think it's joplinapp.com. So if anybody's interested, Joplin, nice open source note-taking app. I think this is what I was looking for. So I'm looking forward to adding more notes to Joplin.
Well, this is great. This is great because I never heard of this app, and I'm always looking for a Keep replacement because Keep has also been frustrating me. So I'm going to check this out. Thank you, Flo. That's awesome.
I've been pretty satisfied with Keep, I have to say.
Sorry, it's the Skype. Anyway, I was going to say Keep, as it is right now, is just for the grocery list and like anything that my husband and I need to collaborate on, like in terms of buying or whatever. That's all it's really being used for now because I'm just so sloggy.
I'm not even using that, to be honest, anymore. So cool.
Nice. Very good. Oh,
there it is.
Apparently, Burke is showing us all of the things on his keep list. He wants us to know what he's keeping.
You know what, though? When we were in the studio, Burke would always see what was on my keep list. He would adjust the camera overhead, and it was always like, my fitness routine, or like, you know, my positivity quote for the day. So
right.
Sure, Burke misses that.
Awesome. So that app is called Joplin. You don't need to vote for it because we aren't doing that anymore.
Nope.
I hope you enjoy the
app. You can check it out in the Play Store.
We all voted for it.
That's right. We voted for it. That's why you heard about it. And then we want to round out the show kind of in a more traditional format with a couple of emails, AAA@twit.tv, or you can leave us a voicemail, 347-SHOW-AAA. Flo, you got the first one.
I do have the first one. This one's from Damon. Hey, gang. I found your report on action blocks very helpful. I was amazed that I was able to create one to play all about Android on my Android TV. All I do now is touch the icon and the latest AAA episode plays from YouTube. Attaches a screenshot of the action block on my home screen. Thanks for making a great show. Thanks, Damon. Oh, I'm excited. Let's see. So for our viewers who are watching through the video feed, let's see what this action block looks like. And it looks like it's loading on my screen. Oh, it looks like former album art.
Yes, Damon had no idea that we were updating our album art. So your first assignment, your first assignment is to update that album art, and then it'll be perfect.
That's very cool, though. Good job, Damon. Love it.
Love it. Love it. That's great. And also, what's very cool, I didn't know Victor created a new email kind of full screen graphic for when we have emails. So there you go. Thank you for doing that, Victor. Ken from Canada writes in to say, hey, people, I just moved my Google Music library to YouTube Music. I went to Cast from my phone to my Google Home, Google Max, and 2 Google Minis, and that feature is not available. It is on the premium version, though. To have a playlist of my library cast to all speakers using voice is difficult because I get the dreaded, I'm sorry, I don't understand. Oh, I hate that. I hate it when that happens. The worst. The push for premium services is pushing me away from Google, says Ken. I can feel your pain on that. Yeah, that is kind of a bummer that the integration is not quite there with YouTube Music, and they are making some things more of a premium thing. I think I'm just used to not having to deal with that because I am paying and have been paying since the beginning of Google Play Music. So I guess I'm just not seeing that and encountering that particular pain point, but I understand.
Yeah, something like cash should not be that. I mean, that holding back functionality like that for premium services is not cool. Again, also because I'm paying for lots of premium services, so I didn't notice it either. But if that truly is something that is like feature locked for premium users, that's not cool. That's not cool at all.
Yeah.
So. All right. Our last email comes in from Patrick, who writes in and says, Ron, thank you so much for the app Fancade. I appreciate how much variety there is even within the Quest, let alone the collection of games provided by the community. Like that if you get stuck on some games in Quest mode, you can still move forward. I'm a huge fan of puzzle games, but get tired of the repetitive nature of so many puzzle games, but don't have to worry about that with Fancade. And thank you, Patrick. He's referring to the game I brought to the last arena in episode 476, Fancade, which is a great collection of little small puzzle games and things like that. Free in the Google Play Store. You can check it out there. Patrick, I'm glad you liked that. And Flo and Jason, I have to say, I love the fact that we are going to have more emails from the audience in the show, because that's one of our favorite parts of the interaction with the community. And that's another thing you can look forward to with the new episodes of All About Android, more community interaction. So make sure you email us. As Jason mentioned, you can email us at aaa@twit.tv, or you can leave a voicemail at 347-SHOW-AAA, or you can email us a video mail. We love video mails. Those are awesome to see your beautiful faces, and we'll play them on the video version of the show. So email us the links to YouTube or send us the video, and we'll include it in a future show. So that's awesome. I love that we're carving out time for this, because that's the thing we always cut. So, yeah.
Yeah. Well, because we integrated the email into the segments before, and then we go long on the segments and there wasn't enough time for the emails, and you guys would lose your voice in the show. So this allows for that to kind of be reclaimed by you guys. So, yeah. And with that, we've reached the end of the episode. I really am. I'm honest when I say I want to hear from y'all. AAA at twit.tv. Let me know how you feel about the changes. If you have ideas, like we're totally like in the realm of like keeping things fresh right now. We've been doing this show for so long. We want to keep it fresh for ourselves as much as we do for you. So, tell us what you like. Maybe if something doesn't work for you, tell us, no hard feelings. AAA at twit.tv.
We're family here.
We're family. We're learning as we go along, and we appreciate you being with us each and every step of the way. So that's it for the end of the show. Flo, what you want people to know?
I'm working a bunch over here, kind of having things published here and there. So the best way to keep track of that is at florenceion.com. I have a recent work page. So that's kind of nice if you want to go see where I've been published or podcasts that I've been on. Also, I have a new fun little URL thanks to Hover, which is one of the sponsors here on the Twit Network, flowrights.tech. And for anybody out there who plays Animal Crossing, I just recently updated my Nook Exchange profile. So if anybody would like to exchange items, maybe get in on the trade market, let me know. Let's talk. Send me a message. You can find me on social media through that flowrights.tech link. And lastly, for anybody who is around on Friday and would like a little look at the Android 11 beta without actually installing it on their devices, I'm going to do a Twitch stream on Friday at 4 p.m. Pacific Standard Time. I thought it would be kind of fun just to kind of walk you through my experience with the Android 11 beta, show you some of the little quirks of it. I've been playing with it a lot. I've been writing about it a lot. So come and experience the fruits of my labor, I guess. That's twitch.tv/OThatFlow. Come and follow me there. And it's an interactive event. I have the chat room open. We have folks from the Discord who come in and chat, so it's really nice. So come join us 4 p.m. Pacific time on Friday, which I believe is June 19th.
Nice. Very good stuff. You got a lot of stuff going on right now. Ron, what about you?
Yeah, so you can follow me over on Twitter and on Instagram, RonXO on social media, so you can find me there. Additionally, every now and then I pop in about once a month over on ifanboy.com, where you can listen to me talk about movies and TV shows on the monthly Media Splode there. And while you're there, if you like comic books, check it out. It's a great place. And the podcast that got me into this crazy world of podcasting. So there it is. And also, I'm working on a pinball startup called Scorbit. You can check that out at scorbit.io. We are very, very close to coming out some new stuff in July. So I'm excited after many delays to share with you guys all, including app development, which I've got many, many things to talk about my experience in getting an app to the Google Play Store. So I have a developer account. Let's just say that. I'll tease it with that. Come this July and August, we can do a whole segment about my experience with this. So, yeah.
Nice. Cool. I can't wait. I can't wait for next month to find out more. That's awesome. Big thanks to Victor and Burke, who help us behind the scenes and did some heavy lifting this week to allow for kind of the show format shift and everything to take place. So love you guys. Thank you for all of your hard work always on the show. Also, big thanks to Anthony and Jerry at Twit. Anthony for doing all the graphics, Jerry for helping coordinate a lot of kind of the push behind the scenes for making this happen. It's not just us. It's a whole team behind us, and we really appreciate all of their efforts. And I'm sure I'm missing someone. But as for me, twit.tv/HOA for Hands on Android. If you like Android, you might as well subscribe to my other Android show, Hands on Android. Last week, I did kind of like a in-depth look at the experimental desktop mode for Android, kind of what it's capable of, hint, not much, and how you can expand that capability a little bit. The episode coming up this Thursday is more of a look at Android 11 Beta 1, particularly kind of like diving into some of the big key differentiating features now versus the previous developer previews. And so, yeah, that's twit.tv/HOA this Thursday. But that is it for this week's episode. Thank you so much for watching and listening. This show publishes every Tuesday evening, so just go to twit.tv/AAA. There you can subscribe to the show in audio and video formats. You can link out to YouTube. You can subscribe in whatever podcatcher you happen to use. Ultimately, you just want to subscribe, then you don't have to think about it. It downloads for you automatically, and it's amazing. And that's it for this week. We'll see you all next week on another episode of All About Android. Bye, everybody.
Check out other shows here on Twit TV, including my show, Hands On Photography. On this show, I'm going to show you how to get the most out of your camera, as well as be a better post-processor. So head on over to twit.tv/hop and subscribe now.